It's a true fantasy. Because it is true, but it's just full of fantasy. It's a memory, it's not a biopic. A biopic is more of a third-person point of view, whereas we are in the story with Elton. And memories, you know, it's a fallible, emotional connection to a series of events. It's not just the cold chronological retelling of it. It means that I can really enjoy the high camp of it, or the darkness of it, or the the spectacle, which is all in keeping with who Elton is anyway.
Dexter Fletcher, lovely to talk to you.
Lovely to talk to you too.
So, the way you depict excess in the film I thought was really interesting, because it's never without consequence. Was that a reaction to how other biopics handle those sorts of moments?
It was only important to me because of my own personal experience. Is that, I know that there was times when I strayed into the hinterlands of addiction and staggered around there, and that cost me. And I think that was something that's important to me to try and communicate, and at least say I can't pass judgment on it, but I can just give my own vague warning about drug taking. The thing about it is it can come over as glamorous when it's your heroes, or sort of,
and it's the rock star
rock and
thing.
roll and excess and all that kind of stuff. And of course it's all part and parcel, but there is a consequence. There is someone you can end up as a result of this, lonely and self-destructive. And my personal feelings is that there's a cost, and actually it's really unpleasant. Where I ended up was when I look back on it, I feel distinctly uncomfortable and glad that I'm not there anymore. The excess, it ended up being really destructive. Really, the story takes place here.
Right.
And the retelling of it happens as you retell it to all this group that you're in. So there's lots of circular kind of themes within.
Some of your work was played ad nauseum when we were kids, right? So Press Gang and Bugsy Malone and stuff like that. And I'm curious, Ben, when you're at home at night and you flick on the TV and there's you as a child or as a teenager, how do you relate to that guy? Do you mentally transport yourself? Do you I have no memory of shooting that whatsoever?
Yeah.
How do you think about that person?
There's some of that goes on. I mean, I do remember the stuff when you're a kid, because I think I do remember Bugsy Malone, or I think I do.
Well, maybe I still love him. I mean, he is my dad.
I haven't watched Press Gang for a long time, so I don't know. It's 30 years.
It's still very good.
Is
Trust
it?
me, it's still very, very good.
Okay, good. Well, Stephen Moffat is a bit of a genius. Other stuff that's more in the area when I was an adult or a young adult, I think I still watch them now and go, oh, I personally was at this place then.
Because I've heard you talk about watching Lock, Stock and seeing that guy's because you'd had a fairly rough time before that, and that was your first time going, that guy is getting back on his game.
Yeah, but even similarly, I'm really sort of locked down, and I'm sort of trying to be all serious and actory. So it just reminds me of where I was at. It's like a photo album of my life, but it moves and
that lives out in public, and everybody can rent it on Netflix.
Exactly, it's true. But it just means different things to different people.
You've grown up on film sets, right? Tell me about the moment when you were considering moving into directing, because I've read in interviews that you were quite wary of making that move. Is that true?
Yeah, I think I knew I wanted to sort of get more involved in filmmaking from the other side rather than just being in front of the camera, and I was writing a lot, and I had a script that I gave it to a producer, and she just automatically assumed that I was going to direct it. So I said, yeah, I'm going to direct it. I hadn't really thought of that before.
Because I imagine there's this moment of the first day of shooting where you're sitting behind the monitors and going, oh, okay, we're here now, this is happening. Is that how it ticks?
Yes, exactly, yeah, and it's kind of where I feel most familiar with who I am, in a way.
What do you mean? That's an interesting way of thinking about it.
Well, growing up there, it's kind of where I feel most excited and my most playful and my most energetic, and it's a great environment for me to be in. I love being there. I know who I am best of all there. Do you know what I mean?
That makes sense.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
all like in social events at parties or whatever. I just know who I am on a film set. It makes sense to me there.
Pretty tight in here tonight. I'm looking for a dolly who'll feed me right. I'ma use a little muscle to get what I need. I'ma take a little drink and shout out to the
Because Elton's involved in the making of this, right? Is it making a film like this, seeing it play out with on a set? Do you reckon that's part of his emotional journey to kind of see it externalised almost?
Yeah, because the screenplay is built up of his recollections and his emotional connections to those recollections, and it's not that third-person point of view. I know I could have gone away and researched everything in that film that happens, but then I would have just been sort of, it would have been my third-person, well-researched point of view. But because the recollections are emotional ones, that's why the chronology doesn't matter. What matters is how he felt. As long as we know that as the audience, as long as we're with him on that journey, I get to play around with it, and that's why it's not a biopic. That's why I say it's a true fantasy, because it is true, but it's just full of fantasy. It's just got to be. It's got to be elevated. It's what he's like.
You are an absolute pleasure to talk
They
to.
like
Could
me.
literally
Thank you.
talk to you for ages.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's other people
Cheers.
that might want to do that with you.
Well, possibly.